There's a version of this man's story that gets left out of every motivational quote card, every ruthless leadership listicle, every LinkedIn post that misuses his name. The real story isn't about power. It's about what happens to a man when every single person around him decides he's finished. And he quietly proves every one of them wrong. That's not a 500-year-old history lesson, that's a blueprint. And by the end of this video, you'll see exactly how it applies to you. This is the dark psychology of becoming someone people regret underestimating, and almost nobody explains it correctly. His name was Niccolo Machiavelli. And here's what nobody tells you about him. He wasn't some cold strategist sitting in a palace, dreaming up theories about power from comfort. He was a man who lost everything. His job, his reputation, his freedom. And then, while he was locked in a cell, his arms tied behind his back, hoisted off the ground until his shoulders dislocated, he still refused to give them what they wanted. 4 drops of that torture device was usually enough to break a person permanently. He took 6. And he didn't talk. Stay with me, because what he built from inside that destruction is the actual cold psychology behind this. And almost nobody talks about it correctly. Drop cold in the comments right now if you're ready for this. So here's where it starts. Not with power, with the floor completely dropping out. In 1512, the government Machiavelli had served for 14 years collapsed. The Medici, his former enemies, came back into power. Within months, he was accused of conspiracy, thrown into prison, and tortured. 6 drops of the strappado, shoulders dislocated, weeks in a cell so infested that, in his own words, the walls were covered in lice so big and fat they looked like butterflies. And here's the detail that gets skipped every time. He wrote sonnets about it while it was happening. Witty, almost playful sonnets, sent to people who might help get him released. Think about that. This is a man with every reason to break. Every reason to become bitter, paranoid, vengeful. Instead, he observed himself going through it. He stayed cold enough, even in the middle of torture, to think strategically about his own survival. Machiavelli had a word for this. He called it Virtu. And here's where most people get it wrong. Virtu doesn't mean virtue, like being a good person. It means capability under pressure. The combination of intelligence, decisiveness, and the willpower to act even when everything in you wants to collapse. Later in this video, I'll show you exactly how he used this same psychology to turn total destruction into the most influential book on power ever written. But first, you need to understand what almost broke him completely. And it wasn't the torture. Niccolo Machiavelli was born in Florence in 1469. By 29, he'd worked his way into the Florentine government, eventually becoming essentially the foreign minister of the entire republic. For 14 years, he negotiated with kings, popes, and warlords. He watched power up close, not in theory, in practice. He also personally studied a man named Cesare Borgia, the son of a pope, a ruthless military commander who conquered and governed territory with terrifying efficiency. Machiavelli wasn't impressed by Borgia's morality. He was impressed by his effectiveness, by how decisively the man acted when everyone else hesitated. That observation became one of the foundations of everything Machiavelli wrote. Then, in 1512, it all collapsed. The Medici returned. He lost his position, his income, his political life. Then came the arrest, the torture, the imprisonment. When he was finally released, through a stroke of luck involving a new pope being elected, he wasn't sent back into politics. He was banished, exiled to a small family farm outside the city. And here's the part that's almost more painful than the torture. He once wrote to a friend, that he was rotting away in that exile. Not because the farm was uncomfortable, because he'd been cut off from the city he loved more than his own soul, and from the political life that gave his existence meaning. He was offered a way out. A wealthy Roman nobleman offered him a position at an enormous salary. He turned it down. Because it wasn't Florence. So picture this man, stripped of everything, tortured, exiled, sitting alone, completely irrelevant to the world that used to depend on him. And from that exact position, he wrote The Prince. Here's the first principle of this dark psychology, and it's the one most people skip past because it sounds too simple. He didn't react emotionally to his collapse. He studied it. There's actual modern psychology research on this. Machiavellianism as a personality trait is associated with what researchers call cold cognition, the ability to process information and make decisions without your emotions flooding the system and taking over. Most people, when everything falls apart, go one of two ways. They spiral into despair, or they get consumed by rage and try to get revenge immediately. Machiavelli did neither. He sat with the collapse. He observed it. Then he asked the question that changes everything. What can I actually build from this position? That question is the entire foundation of becoming someone people regret underestimating. Here's what's actually happening when people underestimate you. They're not just being mean. They're making a calculation. They've decided your current position tells them everything about your future. They've stopped paying attention because they think they already know how your story ends. And the moment you react emotionally, fall apart, or lash out, you prove them right. But the moment you go cold, the moment you start studying your situation instead of suffering through it, that's when the story starts changing. And they don't even notice it happening. Machiavelli was completely irrelevant when he started writing The Prince. Nobody was watching. Nobody expected anything. And that's exactly the condition that let him build something nobody saw coming. Drop Vert in the comments if you're in that position right now. Now let's go deeper on this word, Vert, because once you understand it properly, it changes how you see every weak position you've ever been in. Vert isn't about being a good person. Machiavelli was clear about this. It's the capacity to act effectively, even when the action is uncomfortable, unpopular, or goes against what people expect from you. He praised Cesare Borgia specifically for this. Not because Borgia was admirable, because when Borgia needed to act, he acted decisively, no hesitation, no half measures. And here's the line from Machiavelli that gets misquoted constantly. The better to be feared than loved line. Almost everyone gets this wrong, including business school professors who should know better. What he actually said was more careful. It's better to be feared than loved if you can't have both, but ideally you'd have both. And you should never, ever be hated. Here's what that means in practice. Authority based purely on people liking you is fragile. The moment you stop being agreeable, it disappears. But authority based on consistent, predictable consequences, that's stable. People don't need to love you to respect what you represent. This is the Machiavellian strategy underneath everything else in this video. Not cruelty, consistency. Machiavelli also had an idea about fortune, what he called Fortuna. He believed fortune controls roughly half of what happens to you. Random events, circumstances outside your control. The timing of when the Medici come back to power and ruin your career. But the other half? That's Vert. Skill, decisiveness, the ability to act when the moment requires it. Most people spend all their energy being angry about the Fortuna half, the bad luck, the unfair situation, the people who wronged them, and almost no energy developing the Vert half, the part that's actually within their control. Machiavelli couldn't control that the Medici came back. He couldn't control the torture. But he could control what he did with the time and position he had left. And that's the half that determines what happens next. Drop folks in the comments if you're ready for the last piece of this. Machiavelli used an image I think is the single most useful framework in everything he wrote. A ruler needs to be both a fox and a lion. The lion is raw strength, visible power that can dominate. The fox is cunning, the ability to see traps before stepping in them. The lion can't protect itself from traps. All that strength means nothing if you walk into something you didn't see coming. And the fox can't defend itself from wolves. All that cleverness means nothing without the strength to act when strength is required. Here's how this connects to being underestimated. When people underestimate you, they're usually responding to the absence of the lion. They see no obvious strength and assume there's nothing underneath. What they're not seeing is the fox. The part of you quietly mapping the terrain. Understanding who actually holds influence, where the real opportunities are. And here's the advantage. Nobody's watching the fox. Nobody feels threatened by someone they've already dismissed. Which means you get to move, observe, and position yourself, completely unguarded against. This is exactly the position Machiavelli was in when he wrote The Prince. Completely dismissed, politically dead. And from that position, with everyone's guard down, he produced the most influential work on power in human history. Nobody saw it coming, because nobody was looking. Here's the part of this story almost nobody knows. Machiavelli wrote The Prince for Lorenzo de' Medici, the same family that had just had him tortured. He dedicated it to them, hoping it might get him back into political life. It didn't work. There's a real chance Lorenzo never even read it. Machiavelli never got his position back. He died years later, in genuine poverty. By every conventional measure, his plan failed. And yet, 500 years later, you're watching a video about him. His name is shorthand for strategic thinking. The Pope banned his book, which only made people want to read it more. The people who decided he was finished in 1512 are footnotes. He's not. So here's where this lands for you. If people have written you off, go cold before anything else. Don't spiral, don't seek revenge. Observe your situation like it's data. Then remember the fox and the lion. While you're being underestimated, you're also unguarded against. Use that, build quietly. Save the lion for when it matters. The people underestimating you are making a calculation based on where you are, not where you're going. Drop sovereign in the comments if you're building something right now that nobody else can see yet. And if this gave you something to think about, subscribe. We go deeper every week. The work never stops, and neither do you.